we should talk about what sausage is. And sausage, at least as we're going to be talking about it today. I mean, you know what a sausage is. You've had a hot dog, you've had a brat, you've had a metwurst, you've had a kielbasa, and you know how they act. You've had hamburger too, though, right? Different, right? Yeah. Hamburger, kind of crumbly, actually. There's a reason for that, and that is what sausage making is all about. And that is something that never comes across in medieval recipes, ever. If you know what to look for, you can see it in the recipe, and I've got a handful of recipes. These are not my recipes. I pulled this straight off of Medieval Cookery, which is Doc's website. You've done some on it. This is my wife, Lynn Fairchild. What's Kristen's SCA name? Eva Green? Is that her? Anyway, there's Evelyn Green. Yeah, she's another cooking laurel. A lot of cooking laurels have contributed to Eva Green. Have contributed to the Medieval Cookery website, and they'll go through and pull out ancient books in other languages and then translate them so that we have the opportunity to see what people were actually eating. And if you look at those if this room was full, I'd still be pretty much doing the same thing. Medieval recipes will give you what they used, but there's a couple of things going on that how do I put this? Medieval people were not scientists. They were good phenomenologists, okay? So they could see what happened and attribute cause and effect, but they weren't scientists, so they didn't know the mechanism. Just like we all know that the sun rises, it is not immediately apparent to us whether the sun is going across the sky or whether the earth is spinning. So, difference between phenomena. It is. Sweet. Difference between phenomenology and science. So, medieval people were able to understand that if you could do a couple of different things, your meat stuck together. And that was a secret. Now, how well kept that secret was? Good question. Because sausage makers did have a guild. They were part of the guild system, so I could imagine that that was a guild secret. However, there are a lot of home sausage making traditions in Europe, especially in Germany. And there were local variations on so many sausages that I'm not sure how secret anything actually was. I need my knife. But we're going to talk about that secret that is how sausage sticks together that they never wrote down. I had a better knife. Where is it? There it is. Wash this too. Have you ever made mayonnaise? You take an egg, You whip it up, and then you can use it to hold oil and water together in a, thank you, an emulsion. What's doing the work is the protein of the egg forms a matrix, and it's physically holding the molecules of oil and water separately, but together.
Garlic actually does.
Does it? Fascinating.
It's also why garlic, when you do this tribal, can be used to use it for gold if you're golding it.
Neat. However, meat does the same thing. So, meat is myofibrillar protein. Is essentially what it is. Myofibrillar proteins are the muscle fiber proteins. Now, there's more proteins in meat than just myofibrillar proteins. There's the color-based proteins. So if you have actually something like this, let's see if there's any purge in it. I don't, actually not the hemoglobin, because that's in blood. No, this is the protein that colors the meat. There is a protein, and it's water soluble. So if I took this, if I washed, rinsed it, there would be liquidy red stuff on the bottom of the sink. And that is not blood. It is the color protein that is, this is what's in there. However, so that protein is water soluble. Meat is not. So, but it is soluble. It is salt soluble. It's salt soluble. So, if we're able to take that meat stuff and extract protein out of it, one way or another, we can create the same kind of protein matrix that we use in a mayonnaise to bind other things together with the meat to improve its quantity, to improve its texture, to improve its taste, and bind it together in a gel. That's what a sausage is. A sausage is a gel. We don't think of it like that, not typically, but, you know, think of a peeled hot dog. It's kind of wiggly. It is firm, but it's definitely not exactly a solid. More solid than not, but it's a gel. And the most common gel, gelatin, is held together with a protein matrix in exactly the same way, except that uses extracted collagen proteins. So let's make some sausage. The first one I want to do is not a period sausage. What I want to do is just to show you how much you can get out of a. We're gonna make junk actually, but we're gonna do it in a way that that kind of shows you what's going on. So we'll take a bit of lean meat, and the way that you do this is called making the bind, and this is one of the secrets of sausage makers. And you can tell by looking at the recipes that not everybody knew this, or we'll get probably not obfuscating. It was really more that they didn't know what was going on, or they were working with inferior materials and they didn't understand that they were inferior, but they knew that something was going on, and so that they needed extra ingredients. So if you see a sausage recipe that includes egg, something else is going on. Either they don't know. Just brought this over here. Either they didn't know what was going on, or something else was going on. So we need the meat to be in basically this condition in order to make the bind. It needs to be, let's call it fresh. It cannot be denatured. Okay, so these are ham chunks. That's an ingredient in some sausage. But ham is already cooked. Even though it's cold, it has been cooked. It's got that pink color. This is a cured meat, cooked. This cannot make sausage unless you have this already and you add this as an ingredient.
That won't help bind it all.
Exactly. This will not help bind at all. But you can put it in.
Does that include dry aged stuff as well, technically? Right? 'Cause
Dry aged stuff has not been cooked. That's right. So no,
you can still technically use some of that.
yes, but you're
You probably want something, yeah.
well. That's what we're going to do. So to make a bind, just bring this over here. We're going to add a significant quantity of salt. To make an ideal bind, you never use your entire meat block. You use the leanest portion of the meat, so you want the least fat. You want
The fat inhibits the binding.
it just rather that it doesn't contribute.
Okay.
It doesn't contribute to the binding. It's all protein.
It's not like when you're whipping whites and the egg yolk messes it up.
I mean, it kind of is. It's kind of exactly the same thing, but you're dealing with large enough quantities that
The small amounts of fat.
it's not gonna hurt. But like if you're whipping 2 egg whites and you have 1 egg yolk in there, that's a big problem because the quantities are larger. So the ideal bind is to take the leanest portion of your meat block and take 10% of that by weight of salt. So they're going to be really salty, so you need to add all of the other ingredients. So generally what happens is you add all of the salt of the recipe to the bind, and then you can make meat glue, which is
It's essentially like if you're doing a white sauce, it's the start of the white sauce.
So
The
that,
meat
I mean,
version of it.
that means you need at least, what is it, 1 part to 4 parts, I think, because I'm thinking with the dry aging, generally we aim for about 2 to 3% by weight salt
okay.
for the whole piece of meat. And that's about perfectly salted for everything, for all of it. And so I'm imagining then you, in terms of the ratio of this to whatever else, or at least, else you're adding, if you're doing 10%, then you probably want this to be, to redistribute back to around 2-3%.
I don't actually know. I don't actually
Well,
know.
let's pay attention to how much more meat he adds and let's see if it's a mental math.
Yeah.
We're actually not going to add meat. We're going to add water.
too.
We're going to see how much water it can hold before the bind breaks.
Sure. Yeah, the emulsion.
And you can tell, it's actually a little cold. Well, no, it's not a little cold. It's fine.
Starting to
Yeah, it's starting, just starting. You'll know that the bind is good when we haven't reground this at all, so this is still coarse ground, but it's fine. You can make this with coarse ground.
they were just chopping it, right? Or-
Yes, but you can make incredibly fine emulsions with
Right?
chopping.
Is it like the
Yeah.
first more modern meat grinder? Yes, obviously hand crank, but when were those?
Were they using mortar and pestle?
Well,
Do we
yes,
know if
they
were
they actually were, because like
pounding it basically?
okay, so to extract the myofibrillary protein, one way is you can pull it out with salt as it's solubilized, and the other ways are mechanical extraction. So if you've made hamburgers before and you've patted them yourself, your hands are sticky, like this. My hands are sticky. Now, I've already put salt in there, so it's solubilized. It's supposed to. But your hands get sticky when you make hamburgers at home. And that is mechanical protein extraction. And you can take that all the way if you want. You can take a mortar and pestle, or you can take a rod, a stick, and beat a piece of meat until the structure of meat is held together.
Turns into a paste.
Yeah, the structure of meat is held together by collagen cross-checking. And the
Standard meat tenderizer hammers and everything.
exactly, yeah. So
I think I've seen recipes called for like food processor. Basically, you're just blitzing it until it is a
Right.
paste, and that seems to be very similar to this kind of Where you're just you're mechanically breaking down the cell wall.
Right, and if you just sit at it long enough, you can take a hammer and beat the meat until it is a pudding, until it's a pudding. The structure of meat is held together with collagen cell walls, and the older meat gets, including us, the firmer it gets because of collagen cross-checking. That, like, if you can imagine, your cell walls are like this, and they're held here, here, and here. As meat ages, you get additional collagen cross-checking because that's what happens when muscle is worked and torn and healed. And so an animal that is very muscular and aggressive, or a weightlifter, or whatever, is going to have lots of collagen cross-checking that makes the muscle physically stronger, but also makes it less tender. So
that would be like why Kobe beef is what it is because those cows live very cushy lives.
that's right. Yeah, they do everything they can to prevent the collagen cross-checking from happening in the first place.
Or why veal is veal.
Exactly. Yes. Well, yeah, why veal is veal. There are other problems with veal from a sausage making perspective.
It's really lean.
It is often lean, yes, but it often does not make a good bind. And I don't remember exactly why.
There's some chemistry.
Yeah, there is. And I need to take a refresher course because it's real chemistry.
Yeah.
And there's an anecdote from my family history. My grandfather started the sausage making business, and you know what? We're gonna this, and come on over.
Your spiral attachment's over there if you end up needing that one.
No, we'll use the regular beater attachment. Doesn't look very appetizing. Am I plugged in?
Or reset.
Watch that. You can already see it's getting kind of thicker. It is no longer meat and water. Can you see it?
It's stringy almost.
Exactly. Yes. The water being bound up in the protein matrix. So this mixing process, or at least this stage of the mixing process, about 5 minutes. About 5 minutes is what we're looking at. It is entirely possible to overmix, because once we have a protein matrix, you can destroy it by overworking.
When you're doing meringue.
Exactly, you can overbeat the meringue. It'll collapse. But
See that sticking to
yep.
the paddle.
Now, I really wish I'd gotten one with a tilting head. Oh well. Sticking to the paddle, sticking to. Now, once it gets really good, it'll wind up riding up the walls.
Start turning into like a dough ball, basically.
Yeah. You know what? We should do that. Just so that you can see how much. Yeah, we're gonna do that. And so we'll go a little faster. That's too fast. About there. And then what we can also do is add additional water once it's really going, and see how much we can get in before it breaks, and then we'll know when it's broken. It's already starting to climb the walls.
So about a week ago, I made tune, which is basically garlic mayo. Where you take like heads of garlic, put it in the food processor, blitz it, add some water, blitz it, or no, add some oil, blitz it. You're basically like making a mayo without adding any of the egg.
Look at that. Now it's soupy because it's as much as meat. Yeah, maybe even more. So I'm not going to say that this is good sausage, but that's actually sausage. Like we can put that in, pour that out in a loaf pan like this, bake it, and it will become a gel.
That's basically pate.
You're right. Yeah. Oh, did I break it already?
No, I think we're still technically good. It's just more liquid.
But I think we're at least at 150% water. And no product is sold with 150% water. But 40%? Yeah. 40%. Like that's actually what hams are these days. When they're injected, there's like 40% water added hams. Now, injection is a little bit different. You are taking advantage of the meat structure, adding additional water and usually protein along with it to create a juicier ham out of a inferior product. And that's one of the things, one of the beauties of adding water as an ingredient is that you are actually improving up to a certain point. Like this is crap.
Yeah.
But we're doing that for an example. When you add water, you will improve the mouthfeel of the product. It will be juicier. It will taste better.
Yeah.
If you have no water, if you have insufficient water, and this is a problem with a lot of SCA sausage, it's like, even if they get it right,
Even if it's pretty fatty,
it'll still be like, it's a workout to chew. Add water. Add water, add water, add water. That is a secret of the sausage making business, which is what my grandfather drew my grandfather to it in the first place. He's like, it's the only business I know of where you can get out more than what you put in. You'll add water and you thank you for it. Although sometimes there's a ham maker near us. And we used to razz him. Hey, when the city raises the price of a water bill, does your hams go up? Like, yeah, you jerk. So we've got a Cervalat, we've got a Mortadella, we've got a bratwurst, We have a Mortadella, but that's different because that's a dry cured sausage. Regular port sausages, sausage, Roman meatloaf. Do any of those sound good? We will do the Mortadella. Okay, 1 pound pork, 1/8 cup minced fennel, pepper, cinnamon, cloves, mace, liquid smoke. I forgot the smoke.
Okay, then what?
No, it's fine. Like it's still going to be a perfectly decent sausage. I did forget the smoke, didn't I?
I was gonna say.
Oh, well.
Okay, what based on what you've got there, can you do without liquid smoke?
The Cervalat, actually Cervalat does not have much of a smoked identity. Anyway.
Let's do that.
Okay,
Originally, they would be actually hung and smoked.
well, it depends. It depends, because you can boil sausages. And that's how we're gonna do what would say. So 1 pound pork, 1/2 pound bacon. So we're gonna use the ham. But first, we're gonna grind up the pork. Grated cheese. I don't want cheese in my Cervalat. Okay, we're gonna have to go back over, but we'll take this. We're not using the mixing attachment, we're using the grinding attachment, which is really handy. I really like it if you already have a a mixer, then the grinding attachment is fantastic. Okay. Okay, so meat grinders come with a number of different size plates.
Do you work your way down from biggest to smallest?
Yes,
or-
you do. But you generally take it in as few steps as possible because each grinding step is also a mixing step necessarily. So
you're also possibly emulsifying and
you're possibly creating the bind. If you've created the bind, the protein is denatured. It cannot create another bind again. You can add more new bind to fix it, but then what you had is going to be like ham. So, right. So, or it's going to act in the. It's not going to be a functional element of the sausage. It will be an ingredient, I guess. So since we have chunked stew meat, we will run through this. Stop you. Put you in right here. We'll use about half of this pork so that we can use pork as an ingredient again for a later sausage. People always say don't ask how the sausage is made, but I've never found it unpleasant. It's just me. Actually, surprisingly old. Let's see, the first sausage I made would have been Geta, and that was probably 23? Probably 23. That didn't push me to be in the business. And it was only later when I found out how cool the science of food production was that, like, nobody told me. Come on. How can you expect me to want to be in the business when you don't tell me the cool parts? But, oh well. So we're going to switch. This is a 1/4-inch plate. Ordinarily I'd go to an 1/8. I'm actually going to jump down to a 1/16 and start making a something for an emulsion. Yeah. Yep. I forgot to put the blade on. Blade, then plate. Very. Okay. Blade, then plate.
What time period is the one that you're making?
Cervalat is from the 16th century. Not necessarily all Cervalats, but this recipe was written in the 16th century. And like all of these recipes, if it was written at one time, it probably existed. So, like, and then there's the things. We have this American phenomena of having homogenized ethnic foods. I think that's the way to say it. Okay, so what happens in the old world is that flavors were very local. You would have tremendous variation between one village or one town and the next town, one village and the next village. People typically did not travel large distances. They had roots and they stayed there for generations, and tastes grew organically in that locale. And when there was the opportunity for mass emigration to the United States, people stayed in regional enclaves, and the people making food for those new immigrants had to take your regional flavor and your regional flavor and your regional flavor and make it all, and so the rest of America digested it as their food. But you might not have eaten what you eat, and that person wouldn't have had either thing. But Americans experience it all as your food. So there will be tremendous variation. Like you will find different bratwurst recipes, different Cervalat recipes, different metwurst recipes, although metwurst a little bit differently because it was actually a later sausage that was developed in the 17th century. We knew that it happened. It was a thing for when Poland disappeared. When Poland disappeared and Germany took half of it, and what was it, Lithuania took the other half of Poland. One of the German immigrants to Polish territory created a hybrid sausage between Polish ingredients with a German taste and created the product that we know as metwurst. So it was deliberately created. So we know when that was made. But yeah, older sausages like a Zervelat, like a Mortadella, like everybody's got one. Like, you know, we have this in family history. Everybody's grandmother has a recipe. Mine's different than yours. And that has largely disappeared because we have, well, because women have entered the workplace, basically, and are no longer occupying themselves with feeding the family. That's true also. Well, that's to industrialization. when everybody is on the farm, you have a lot of kids because you got a lot of space for a lot of kids, and because kids are free labor. When you are industrialized living in the city, kids are really expensive pets. So you have a few.
You get married and you get this part of the farm. You still live on the same farm as your family, but
Uh-huh. Okay, so this is going to be our meat block that we use to make the bind. We're going to go ahead and have a separate mixing bowl. Where is my separate mixing bowl? It is right there. It is on the drying rack. Yes, I will want the salt, but I'm going to grind the bacon first, or not bacon. Thank you, appreciate that. We're going to grind the ham.
Use an 1/8 inch or something.
Yes, I do not have an emulsifier here. Generally, if you grind down to, actually, this is not 1/8 inch, this is 1/16 inch. If you grind down to 1/16, it will be difficult to differentiate from an emulsified sausage. You will be able to, but it'll be tough. Yeah. So we'll take about half of this. Yeah. And I'm not worried about exact measurements because people in period were not taking exact measurements. They were
General ratios.
exactly general ratios, if they even bothered with that. It was
pre-made ingredients. It doesn't tell you other than they are about equal amounts.
Or sometimes it's, I played around with this and I made something that tastes at least half decent, and here's how I did that.
That's kind of the vibe I get for a lot of the muscle stuff. That's what I do with it. It's whole muscle dry.
Teaspoon. I had measuring spoons. Here they are. Teaspoon salt. I think that's a little light, but
It's also like you've been doing this for a while. You might be able to judge based on what you've got. The better ratio.
Yeah, I generally just kind of throw them.
this recipe.
When I'm doing cooking, like, you're doing sorcery. I'm like, I'm really not.
I
If you're
mean-
used to what it looks like, you can make a good guess.
But there is a reason.
So this recipe does not call for water at all.
Okay.
Okay.
You're gonna add it. You have to.
So
There's
even
only
if
so many
the
ways.
recipe doesn't call for
You
it,
need to.
generally
You
do it.
must add it because there's no other way to distribute the spices evenly.
Like you were saying, then water's probably the most common omitted ingredient.
Yes, almost certainly. Now, we aren't going to add a lot. So,
Cup.
like that.
Okay.
And we're going to use this to create the bind. And then we can decide later if we
Want to add more water?
want to add more water. Yeah. And
You can always add more, and you never take it.
right. Not adding is, in my opinion, the most common mistake in sausage making, at least in amateur sausage making, not adding sufficient water. When people will say, like, just doesn't have have like good mouthfeel. It needs more fat. The people will say it needs more fat. They are actually wrong. It requires more water.
I think they're probably thinking it needs more fat just because when you're cooking it in a pan or something, the fat that you get from the fat being cooked is the fat when it's cooked is a liquid.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's why they're thinking.
No, I think you're absolutely right.
Thinking in terms of like steaks, right?
Yes.
Have a really well-marbled steak feels juicier.
Yes. And of course it is. That's true.
Yeah.
And flavor, in large part, flavor comes from the fat.
But the
Texture and
Texture and juiciness usually comes from water. Now, of course, that's not the case in whole muscle meat. It's not, but I mean, it kind of is, because the intercellular water is like, that's a thing. It's not just the fat making the steak juicy.
no, I mean,
the muscles are big because they're well hydrated.
I mean, in my stuff, you're looking to lose 30% of the weight in just air dry.
Come here, take a look at this. The bind is starting to, definitely starting to create, and the water has completely disappeared.
It's gone, yeah. Fully incorporated.
Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, the water is fully incorporated. The meat is starting to climb the walls. So it's about time.
Do we start adding the other stuff?
Yes, we do.
Because otherwise we might get past by the time we mix the stuff.
I don't think it'll be a problem with as little water as we've included, but we are including other ingredients that aren't going to make a
Hand
bind.
chunks that you included too come partially with a little bit of water in that packaging.
That's true. So this is the ham here. And what else is in this recipe?
You said cheese, but you didn't want to do the cheese.
Yeah, Cervalat should not have cheese. One thing about Cervalat, the name, sorry, you're in camera. You're fine. Cervalat, the etymology comes from the Latin of cerebrum. It's not, I was thinking cerebellum. No, cerebrum. Cervalat is a brain sausage. And over time, the appetite for organ meats diminished, and that was omitted from the sausage. So this is listed as a Cervalat, but there are no brains. This is a 16th century recipe. There's no brains included in the recipe. So even at the time, depending on who it was for, like you may have, well, like,
the fancier it was, the less.
like, do we give?
Depending, the fancier, the more organs might have been a thing too. Because delicacies and things.
I don't know, but I do know that this doesn't have.
In a lot of pate, they use some liver as the binding agent.
But I know also historically, like monkey brains have been a delicacy type of deal too.
Sure.
This calls for black pepper, which is a very functional spice. Black pepper is.
Would it be that black pepper, or I know there's another?
There's long pepper. This black pepper did exist even back in Rome.
Yes, but I'm thinking for this particular, is the modernization of it to use the black pepper because the long pepper is what we could get, or?
I don't know. I do not know.
In a lot of my research,
I am not the medieval cookery guy. I'm actually the modern sausage guy. I'm just doing it. What this calls for, it calls for almost double this amount. That seems like a lot of black pepper to me, like a lot. So I'm not going to do that. Although I will admit that in small batches, in order to get the taste that you want, you almost have to double the spice amount. I don't really know why. It just seems like the spice, I guess, clings to the equipment more.
Lose a certain constant amount of spice.
But I don't think this identity of Cervalat should be I taste black pepper, because that's what it's gonna be. based on
It
this.
sounds like they were aiming for like a pepper cheese thing.
Sounds like the pepper would have been moved around a bit if they had actually put cheese in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to balance out.
They have cinnamon in here. They did have cinnamon in here, and I did not include that as a spice because that's not a typical spice that we use in sausage making, but it is in medieval recipes. So we're going to include it. I'm just going to borrow the church's spice. It's like it again. It calls for way more of this than I think there ought to be.
Just a lot of spices.
I also wonder in terms of some of the medieval recipes, when they call for cinnamon, how much it is actually cinnamon specifically they're searching for, or that it's just their, oh, it's a spice that's not necessarily native to here type spice. Just on some of the recipes I've seen.
Maybe. I really couldn't tell you.
Again, you do the modern, so.
Where's my ginger? Paprika.
There.
Huh? Is it? Oh, it is. Yes. There's my ginger. Now, spices have function. In sausage making, black pepper is the first spice that you will taste. It hits the tip of the tongue. And so you'll get an immediate kick from black pepper. White pepper does not hit the tip of the tongue. It hits the whole tongue and the whole mouth. So you will get a full feeling from white pepper. Red pepper does not hit the mouth at all. It hits the throat. So you often will add red pepper at low quantities, not because you want the heat, but because...
Flakes.
Yeah. Where did I bring? Did I bring my red pepper?
Well,
I didn't.
They're not. They're real late period.
I know. Yeah. But paprika and red pepper are the same things.
Yeah.
So
Ground finer.
I'm just gonna add some paprika. It will improve the color, and actually, paprika is regulated. Pardon me.
Black pepper.
Probably right.
Or the ginger. I mean, honestly, pounded ginger.
So we don't need much red pepper because it will add red color, and it can give the impression that the meat is, or that you're using more high quality meats. Because what is the reddest meat? Beef. I mean, venison, bison also, but actually per pound, they're more expensive than beef. So red meats are more expensive than pale meats are more expensive than white meats. Do I have white pepper here? I have it somewhere. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of white pepper, not much, because a little bit goes a long way. Just to give it a kind of a full feeling in your mouth. So, about yay. What else do we call for here? Pepper, cinnamon, ginger, sugar? Salt.
I could understand the sugar.
Sugar is a flavor magnifier. It not necessarily just because you want it to be sweet, but also because like salt is a flavor enhancer, sugar is a flavor enhancer, acid actually is a flavor enhancer. So if you use anything in a large quantity, it's going to take on the taste of that thing. But in small quantities, they're functional as flavor magnifiers rather than imparting the taste on their own. And I don't know, I didn't bring sugar. Do you have sugar? I don't see sugar. Bisquick. Nope. But there is some vinegar.
There's sugar with coffee.
Coffee supplies, sweet. Okay, so how much sugar did this call for? Called for a teaspoon. Okay.
And the good news is it's actual sugar.
Yeah, not like a Splenda.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is probably going to wind up being fairly sweet. This won't just be flavor enhancement. This will actually
Although that
add.
is a tablespoon, right? Measuring in.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
It's going to be an interesting thing.
Yeah.
it calls for 1 TSP, and this is, oh, TBS. But it called for 1 TSP of salt. That's stupid. No, that's just wrong.
For some reason, some people really like to just take as little salt as will work, basically.
Well, that would explain why so much pepper and So I was probably actually measuring it reasonably correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It was calling for 1.5, and I was like, that's too much. Maybe half of
The
that.
next size down, that's the
Yeah.
teaspoon.
Okay.
So now it's just going to be super sweet.
Should basically
yeah.
quite fill it up.
Cloves and nutmeg. Okay, nutmeg is a very, very common, but still common. So nutmeg and mace are same thing. Nutmeg, we'll use mace instead. Mace is more expensive, but if you need a lot of nutmeg in a recipe, nutmeg in high quantities can become bitter, but mace doesn't.
Still
So
get the same kind of general flavor.
yes, so we'll have the same flavor, but you can use more of it. So you can also use them in combination. You can use nutmeg up to a certain point, and then
Are they the same family of thing obtained from?
they're the same plant.
Okay, just,
So nutmeg is the center, and mace is the husk, I think.
okay.
And
Sure.
yeah, I don't remember which is the nut and which is the.
Nutmeg is the.
It is the nut, and mace is the husk or shell of the
I
nut.
know at least because you get the nutmeg is great.
There we go. Yeah. So mace is the shell, and for some reason that does not contain the bitterness. And cloves. A clove is not a common spice and sausage making modernly, but medieval people seem to really like it.
Cloves you find across the board in multiple recipes. Frequently, like, I have a recipe for the Charlotte that uses cloves.
So this is going to be more floral than we might expect a sausage to be.
Not adding rosewater. I've seen sausage recipes with rosewater in them.
Yeah.
Or
And
just
so
there's also probably some saffron in them.
Yeah.
typically not in medieval medieval sausages because it was too exotic.
So they'd want to kind of make it a prominent thing instead of throwing it into a sausage.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Rosewater would be fairly
Just
simple.
have so much of it.
And cheese. God, and cheese too?
We're not doing cheese.
Did you
Okay.
eat cheese?
No, I did not. Because cheese does not belong in medieval sausage. Or I thought. And here's this recipe. Like, cheesy sausage in the 16th century. All right. I mean,
Cheesy brain sausage in the 16th century.
that did not include brains. So, all right. The best method of distribution for spices is water. Even though it's a dry mix and it's not water soluble, still it just helps. Gosh, this is dark.
List of recipes. 10th century is when cheese put I see first instance of cheese. Okay. Yeah, this one was like a cheese and nuts.
Also, depending on the cheese, they can have the water and cheese.
Yeah, like a softer cheese.
Oh, yes.
Although this says pounded cheese.
Well, cottage cheese could be pounded cheese too.
Yeah, ground nuts, spiced cream, salt, shredded chicken nuts, olive oil, black pepper.
So you can see This has gotten really dark because of the cinnamon, primarily. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. And you can smell the cinnamon. And that too.
Not as much black pepper.
So I am actually kind of interested at what this would taste like, and the period thing to do is to actually try it. Now, sometimes people freak out.
Now, I've heard if you are a little freaked out about that, you can take a tiny piece, and just throw it in a skillet.
You could, but
Just cook it. But
What's it missing, if anything, that you do have something?
it's overspiced. It needs more meat. It's overspiced.
So, a little bit more?
Yeah, I think I'll add
some more pork.
more pork to this. Feel free. We can heat it up if you want, but
I'm
just like just take a finger.
I can look at it and go, that is spice.
Yeah,
In front of camera.
Yeah.
yeah.
It just needs a little more meat.
So, do we grind more pork or yeah? We could. Honestly, I find the mixture of pork and beef, I think, is the most, because pork has the best flavor of all of the sausages, in my opinion, and beef has more depth and body and robustness, and
It's also a little salty.
yes, it is.
Which the beef without kind of.
Yeah.
So we'll say about that.
I mean, it's also good knowledge about what it is too, because I can feel for this is what it's like. I think, in fairness, he does taste.
Oh, with all the modern equipment?
No, it is still fairly good.
Oh, well, yeah, no, that's true. Fair, fair. But on the other hand, anyone making this in period would have equal, if not much greater, experience. Because frankly, this is not my day job, although this is my business. I'm not doing it. I'm a desk jockey. Of course, yes, because ultimately the boss is the last employee. When everybody else goes home, it's just me. We're actually sausage makers more than butchers. My grandfather was a butcher. My father did butcher. I know how to butcher, but that we don't have butchering in our business anymore. So we're sausage makers. Thank you. I appreciate you.
I still enjoy the sausage class on come on. I know I feel like you were the one teaching me how to. Well, yep, that's gonna be a good sausage class.
I hope so.
They were rating, I don't remember what it was, they were rating like regional dishes and places, and they actually had get at that's what Kentucky's dish was. And I'm like, well, I mean, yes, but
Cincinnati thing, but we make it, so.
yeah.
All right, so we're gonna add that.
We can mix it and then see if you want to add some.
And I think we probably will, honestly. Might as well go ahead and add. It's not gonna take much. I don't know, what is that? Maybe half a cup?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a cup.
About equal parts. Or a little less than equal parts.
had a fun time last weekend. We were butchering the lamb.
Oops. You know what? Fine. Add it.
Fine.
Be more beefy. All right, now.
That looks like a better color.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. No, I think that's about right.
That definitely looks more solid for,
Yeah, and in terms of the emulsion even, it looks a little better.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Too much cinnamon, I think, honestly.
Maybe a little bit too much, yeah. But not by much.
But you know, the period
You
palette.
get a lot of mace also.
The period palette was not as. Didn't seem to mind
it
a heavily
likes a lot
spiced
more
flavor.
floral things. I'm seeing a lot more floral-ish flavors across the board.
Now,
You can smell it.
I don't get much ginger.
No, I don't either. It has that. Would have that
Or even
wang.
black pepper.
Maybe that amount of pepper wanted.
Maybe we want to add a little bit more black pepper. Because I'm not getting almost any black pepper from this. I'm getting
Or is it going?
a
to
little bit of white
pepper.
pepper. I'm getting a little bit of white pepper,
Is the black pepper going to have more?
but not much black pepper at all. The salt is about right, I think. Yeah.
I think you know what. You could actually use a little bit more water. I think that'll improve the mouth.
Distribute.
Not the distribution. It's just the mouth feel that I'm concerned with. I'm
So you
a
add
little.
about another quarter cup.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned that might give us too heavy of a sausage, because we're going to stuff this into. Oops. We're going to stuff this into a casing, and then we'll water cook it. Yeah. That looks good. So,
Did you get the water created or no?
no, I didn't, and we need to do that. We can do that while we're stuffing. You do not need this piece of equipment to stuff. You can,
You are on the KitchenAid.
if you're going to be using a stuffer, you will need to lube it. And I like this stuffer, but honestly, it is so ridiculously difficult to.
It feels overkill for small amounts.
It is. But if you're,
If you're like making up 5 pounds of it.
if you're if you're going to be making for a feast or something like that,
For feet, that would be perfect.
and so this was affordable,
Okay. 'Cause what is it? Like $200?
something like that. So like if you enjoy this, it's a good tool, but it's also
It's fun to store.
yeah, it is big and clunky.
At least I'm guessing the plunger goes down all the way. And then.
But the top of the plunger is, I don't know why they made it this way. It's so hard to clean.
Oh, instead of just making it solid.
Yeah, because it's got these divots on it, and it's a pain in the butt. No, it doesn't.
Oh, so you can't even like just take it off and put it on the dishwasher.
At least, not that I know of. Now that you say that, I'm going to check. And I'm going to feel really stupid.
Put a pin or something.
If there's a pin, yeah, I'm going to feel really stupid.
It slots off. It's like money.
This is collagen. collagen casings rather than natural casings. I used to use natural casings because I had them at work, and now I don't. So I just picked up collagen casings.
Do you have a preference? Is it in feel?
They're really similar because they're out of the same material. Natural casings are pure collagen, but they have irregularities in them that.
So this is technically a nicer, less accident-prone product.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Hold the other side.
Well, I'll hold here until we get to the point where it.
First batches, the seal is always tight.
Yeah.
Like you said, it needs to be removed.
Yep. Come on. Okay. And it has 2 gears.
Yeah.
So this will help. Nope, other way. Other way on this side. Oh, that's much easier.
More cranky.
More cranky, but a lot easier. Okay. Whoop! Oh well. Where's my bowl? Can I have my bowl, please? Here it goes. Ah.
Is yogurt in there? Okay.
Thanks. So, blowouts is part of working with sausage casings. This is normal. It doesn't mean it's any less irritating when it happens. It's always irritating, it's always a mess, but you just realize that it's normal and you have lots more. It's part of the process. The whole package is $10. You're going to use it all anyway. You're not going to store it. So all right, will you crank, please? Sorry.
This way.
Yep. Nice. Hold up, please. So, 3 twists. Actually,
Alternating.
Go ahead.
Is that? Or towards the bottom.
We are? Okay.
Yeah. No, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, the water should be good in there.
gotta wash my hands. Yep, I'm too slippery. Professionally, we do this on a stainless steel table, and there's already water on it, and it helps it slide actually.
Yeah, so it doesn't stick.
So it doesn't stick. All right. First, always, to soften them and remove the salt because they're packed in salt. And for collagen casings, you typically use them dry, but you can use them wet. Both natural casings and collagen casings are semi-permeable, I guess, when they're uncooked, but the process of cooking will actually make them impermeable. There is a point in the cooking process, like if you're going to smoke, you want to smoke at a low temperature, like cold smoking, you've heard of that? You smoke at a low temperature because before, I don't know, 110, 120 degrees internal temperature, the collagen, right, it's the process of becoming denatured that makes it impermeable, and so it'll absorb at those low temperatures. When you finish, I don't know when you want to finish, you have to finish
Brisket or something, or like
if you were like at 140 degrees, which is a low temperature, for several hours, that will be lethality, that will kill everything. But if you hit like 160 for an instant, that kills everything. So it just depends on your cooking process and what you're trying to achieve. You can do different things in your cooking process. Like you go low and slow, you will keep the tenderness, but you'll probably remove all of your water. If you go hot, fast, you will probably maintain your inner juiciness, but you may have damage on the outside of your sausage, or whatever meat it is. Because like these principles apply to all meats. So if you're cooking a steak, low and slow, the risk is it's dry. So you're probably going to want to have either a pan of water underneath or continually baste it. But right, I love sous vide.
so great.
Sous vide is great because you've actually
Contained.
exactly it can't escape. And then you hit it on a hot grill fast to sear it in.
But reverse searing is same general concept.
Yes, it is.
Basically baking it.
Yes, it is.
And then searing.
So, we've just tossed it in and it's steaming, so it's probably what, 160 degrees?
70, something like that.
It's hot.
Yeah.
It's hot. Hotter than bath water would want to be. So, this is going to cook pretty quick, and then we'll get to try it, and then we'll make something else. Or actually, if you want, there are so few of us that both of you can try it if you want. So we go through the recipes, and that's okay. What time is it now?
It's 3:30. These should be done by then.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. So you'll try the first one, and then you and I can.
You guys can have your time.
So this is kind of cool. It's very hands-on. It's very messy. It's not a clean process, but there is science to it, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Something else we can do, and I guess I will with this, is
Pack these.
we could, yeah,
Or use
or we could put it out in a loaf pan.
bake it.
Bake it. Hmm.
Water bake it.
No, we'll put it in the oven.
Not Baron Reinhold style.
Oh, okay.
That's what a lot of pâtés do, is they have their loaf pan in a thing of water. So if
That's
if they
act.
have another general.
I mean, if you,
Is there pots and pans?
Yeah, I think right in here.
Cookie sheets, actually. Here's what we want. This. And then just a little bit of water.
so yes, I think the two of you are gonna have science time for the last half
Yeah.
hour.
It's so cool. You can geek out about the science of it. And you can tell from some of the authors that they were doing similar things. Like there's one author who had, I forget who this guy was, but he wrote a book about the traveling camp kitchen of, I don't know, maybe Maximilian? He had designs for all kinds of actually kind of advanced cooking equipment in this camp kitchen. Well, you can't call it a camp kitchen. I mean, it would have fed an army. It was just a traveling kitchen. It was a traveling kitchen. But oh, sorry.
Put a little too much in.
I think that's too much water. It's floating.
So again, it's fully insulated all the time by water that way.
There we go. Touching the bottom at least. So we
You
could
were
probably
saying,
cook
you were
this.
saying that the recipes left out stuff, like obviously the water.
Yes, left out water and
How could you tell if the recipe knew what they were doing? Is it just what
If there wasn't another
mentioned?
binding agent.
if there was another binding agent, if it included egg. Now, sometimes there is call. Oh, our twist's untwisted.
Oh no.
So now we have a ring sausage. Like you can see where they were. There's shadows of them. One thing that we did not cover is cure. And if you're going to cure your sausage,
At least that.
frog powder,
If you're gonna, it's
like in the industry, it's called Prague powder. I don't know why, but it says
salt water
Prague.
or two.
But it is the pink powder. A problem that many people encounter with cure is that they do not leave sufficient time for color development. Okay, so cure happens over time, and the minimum amount of time that you're going to get that you need for cure development is no less, but you need about 3 hours for color to start to develop. But if you leave it overnight, it's going to be so much bolder, and I don't have time to show you that. But does this?
That's number one, which is for shorter term.
Yeah, this is.
I think it's up to a month.
Contains 6.25 sodium nitrate, 93.75% salt. Yeah, you don't need much sodium nitrate, but this is not much sodium nitrate compared to the salt.
I mean, with that, I think in my recipes where I was using like 100 grams of salt, I was using like 5 of that. They were calling for like very low amounts of product of Prague powder. I mean, a lot of what I was doing is number 2 because it's a longer cure. But
It's not firm yet. But it'll be a fairly fast process. I will expect this to be done in under 20 minutes.
do we want to, how hot do we want to make this? Since it's in
Where is the control for the
I
oven?
can go bake 350.
Yep, that'll do it.
And then,
Enter or start.
and now it's starting. That's just the top one. So,
You don't need to expand all the way over.
yeah. Cool.
But yes, in a water cook. Now, steaming, this would probably take 30 minutes. Steaming is fast too. In a traditional smokehouse, this would take 2 or 3 hours, simply because of the difference between the heat transfer between air and the heat transfer between water or steam. So, like I do actually expect this to be done in like 15 minutes.
Get a sausage and run away.
Now, with these casings, you eat them out of the casing because they're boiled, right?
No,
You eat the casing? You eat the
yeah,
casing?
you can do the casing too. Yep. No, you don't have to.
Sure.
Like chorizo is
Pretty commonly squeezed out of the casing.
exactly, yeah. There's another. If you've heard of the sausage boudin,
Okay.
it is down in Louisiana and East Texas, and it's a Cajun sausage. It's actually very similar to Gouda or Grützwurst. That's what I make, but it is a sausage that is often, I don't know about always, no, not always, but often cooked, served in a sausage casing, and then you clip off the end and you eat it like a, like a Gogurt.
More like the cat churro. The churros.
Yeah, so it's like that.
True.
Not yet.
I feel wild for those things. I mean, it is kind of a gel the way that it is.
You know what?
Start it heating up once the oven actually is technically running.
I'm actually trying to keep the heat in the,
Oh, hot.
because it's
Actually,
Is there a lid in the pots and pans?
there might be.
my pot and I didn't bring the lid.
Yes, but is there a lid in there?
Oh, well, you might be right. There might be. What on? Oh, okay. Oh. That's too big, but it'll work. That's not that bad. Boil! A watched pot never boils. There's going to be a lot of dead air. Linnea is probably going to look at this and just go 1.75 speed. The thing is, we're talking. It's really hard to see if this is.
I was at least trying to get you some shots of what's going on.
I appreciate that, and so will she. Actually, I don't care at all, but it makes her happy, and so that makes me happy too.
I know how that works.
We'll wash this in prep for
Your salt.
product number 2.
Hey, you might get some of the bicycle on there. Okay. No, switch up my next class with college and then run flights.
This is great. This is not even gonna happen.
I feel like this is one of those museum science kids labs right now of the work.
It totally is, isn't it?
Yeah. We have a whole bunch of things and we're going to try
Throw
them.
them together and see what happens.
Watch always just show up as soon as it's cooked. I see some color happening.
Yep. There's too much air in it. Is one, yeah.
If something to weight it down with.
Prick it.
I'll pack.
It's fine. She's going to be looking through this later and you can watch it and pack it.
Yeah.
So I think later she's going to look at his shoulder because there's another stunner.
Okay, well, you know, there's an adage that they're good when they burst. No. The sausage casing erupted off of the sausage itself. It peeled itself. So,
But they've been cooked enough.
And
But they've been
because
cooked enough that
they're
they-
twisted enough, it's got
Yeah, no, I just gave up.
plastic in there. The
Ooh.
cinnamon's not overpowering when cooked.
ooh,
You
that's
can
not bad.
smell it, but the cinnamon's not overpowering, and I can definitely taste the black pepper now that it's cooked too.
That's not bad.
Almost like a breakfast sausage.
It is. Mm-hmm. Which is
Really in.
that's
There's
what
no,
a
there's no fennel.
no. There's no fennel. That's what a Cervalat should be. It's a little cinnamony for a
Yeah.
Cervalat, but a Cervalat is a
And you get the mace toned down a little bit as well, but it's still
Mm-hmm.
there.
The white pepper
nutmeg
is
is-
still definitely the more overpowering pepper in it.
Yeah, you're not getting
Yes,
the front
but-
pepper as much.
no.
It's there, but the white is definitely.
I'm not getting a lot of heat. I'm just getting presence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no bite.
But the nutmeg is very prominent.
There. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
but we
just
used
smelling
mace.
it, you smell the cinnamon.
Yeah.
You don't
Oh, I get-
really get the cinnamon flavor profile the same, but you definitely get the smell. I can also see why cheese would go well with this.
Yeah.
Could.
Yeah. It actually would.
Like specifically this variety.
And also because you were saying the breakfast sausage, breakfast cheesy sausage with this.
See, they knew what they were doing.
They'd probably,
questioned
they'd
it.
probably been adding
They
cheese
knew
for
it.
3 centuries.
They knew what they were doing.
You questioned it.
When in doubt, go back to the source.
However,
Gosh.
how moist is it?
It's pretty good. Definitely much better than the last feast sausage that I had.
Oh. A lot of those are often train wrecks.
Yeah, well,
It was very flavorful and it tasted good.
a number.
But it
these
was one of those where
sausages-
it's like, it was, we all at our table finished ours. So there's at least that.
But it
But
was
it was
generally dry
drier.
hamburger.
Drier.
A number of beef sausages,
Yeah.
they don't make the sausage, they go buy the sausage.
But this one was we had mustard at the table. So we could
Okay,
dip into
yeah.
mustard and that really let us actually enjoy the sausage. Because it was good with the mustard. Because it added a little bit of moisture.
I forgot the Laurel's name, but it doesn't matter. She recently sang an old Scadian song about feast disasters where it's like, pass the honey butter, bread, and cheese.
Yes. Carrots? Glazed carrots, anyone?
Didn't know you could do that with a turnip.
I think I know exactly what song you're referring to.
It was really good.
I'm pretty happy with this.
Yeah.
I still think it's overspiced, but
But, I mean, if you had it with other things, it would be fine.
also I think I shorted the meat block because I was just eyeballing it,
Sure. Like the total amount of meat?
the total amount of meat.
Sure.
I think it called for about 3 pounds, and we did not make 3 pounds. We made it.
Maybe a
pound and a half.
pounds max with both of the pieces.
Yeah.
Like with the pork and the beef.
So, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's not bad.
That definitely has problems. But yeah, this is a breakfast sausage.
Yes, it
It's
sure
not
is.
really a dinner.
No, like you want to have this with eggs.
Yeah, eggs and toast.
There's actually so Germans tell redneck jokes. They're not called redneck jokes.
Yeah, because they're from Bayern.
About the Platzdeutsch who live like on the north and the border with Denmark.
Okay.
So like the joke is, so what's the difference between someone from Westphalia and a Dane? Like, I don't know what. The guy from Westphalia eats sausage and eggs, and the Dane eats eggs and sausage. Like, oh, I know these jokes. The regional. Let's make fun of the regional guy joke. I know these jokes.
Thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
You are most welcome.
And enjoy the rest of your experiments.
Thanks.
I will
So
put
thank
the QR code somewhere and do the feedback for you.
Thank you. So this calls for 1 pound of pork. We can't do this not on 1/16, not yet. And it calls for fatty beef. I'm not sure I want to do that because it's not.
One beef open.
Yeah, my lean beef is open, but we'll just use more pork.
So the one that you shall I cut and walk around and
Offer it up.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
where's the knife? Shall I use this one?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's been used, so yeah. Careful with the, yes.
Yeah, I heard the sizzling like
Sizzles, yeah.
so should I warn people that this might be a little extra cinnamony? Or did you say
A little, I mean, it's got a bit of heat, not much, but for some people, like, be aware that there is a decent amount, like pepper and cinnamon and.
so what should I tell them this
It's
is?
just spicy.
Yeah.
Cervalat.
It's not hot, but it's spicy.
You said
It's
Cervalat
yes, it's a
breakfast sausage.
breakfast sauce. Pork?
Beef,
Yeah. Yep.
pretty much
Then
water, but in terms of, you know,
Yeah, nothing special.
too crazy. Do we do it in a bigger one this time? For the mortadella? Or is mortadella, I can't remember, is mortadella smoother?
No, mortadella is coarse.
Chunkier, so.
Yeah. But this is mortadella, not
okay.
mortadella.
Sure.
And I think both of those things just mean sausage.
Maybe in like the regional dialect, because Italian is weird and it has like 17 different regional languages.
Great. That makes
And what
me
we consider Italian is really just the main one.
lovely. That makes me feel so good about going to Italy.
Now, because of that, they're all pretty fluent in other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I had a friend from Italy who said, yeah, he would go on vacation in Spain and just be like, I'll put O at the end of my word instead of E. And he said the Spaniards would do that too when they went to Italy. So.
sure. You got this book?
I do.
Pretty great.
Yep. Got to meet the guy who wrote it.
Really nice. I'm not really that surprised. I'm like, because that's what I've been doing a lot. I've got
I happened to see him at a convention and like, It says
What sort of
charcuterie
conventions do you see? Right?
at the meat industry convention. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, like it had a different cover
Sure.
since I bought it. It was not what I bought
Okay,
like
yeah.
10 years ago.
Yes. No,
And-
this is technically a reprint or whatever.
Well, that might have been why he was making the circuit.
Yeah.
But like, so is the charcuterie book? And I was like, oh well, I don't know. It ought to be
Pretty good.
because
He also wrote a book called Salumi, which is more Italians, just their specific stuff. Because charcuterie is French, right? So Salumi is the Italian one, so he has a book on that. Is also pretty good. That one has more whole muscle stuff, but it does have a good section on like sausages and dry cured and things like that. That's pretty interesting. So you can make salamis and like Genoa sausages and
that's cool.
yeah.
I am especially salamis that are not. Are not dry.
Like the dry cured.
Yeah. So if it is a particularly dry sausage, I'm generally not a fan. Now I get it. The whole idea is to reduce the water activity.
Yeah.
If you get the water activity down low enough, it's going to be good. But
A lot of these sausages, some of these sausages are cultured, which is really fun.
yes.
So that's a fun time. I've so far avoided sausages because a lot of the sausages I was wanting to do are dry cured and start getting into more risk with the dry cured.
Well, if you are interested in them but don't want to deal with the fermentation, what you do is you go onto a sausage supply website like Westerns or Old Leg or something like them, and buy a packet of encapsulated citric acid or encapsulated lactic acid.
Sure.
And-
to lower the pH.
And it will do everything that the fermentation process does, except some of the potential funk. Yeah. And usually that's a big benefit because you don't want it. But there are some breeds that like have been cultured for ages and ages, and they're like, but this gives us exactly the kind of flavor that we want, and it's so important, and that's what our customers expect, and like, fine, okay. But for most people, like what you really want is the tang, and
the protection that tang gives.
yes, and that can be done very easily with encapsulated.
By just adding citric acid.
Yep.
By the way, I was told, yes, that is delicious.
Good. Cool. It's not really to the modern palate, but you know, it's for medieval things. It's not bad.
Especially if you're like sausages in the SCA.
Because like one gentleman, he's like, okay, what's in this? And I started describing, he's like, okay, I can take the nutmeg, take the cinnamon. They use long pepper, or he was trying to
This is
decide
black
like
pepper.
which type of pepper was in there. He's like, was there like trying to decide?
This was basic black pepper.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, yes, you
Yeah.
got a lot, and then like.
thinking. And then I got thinking, try and think.
And let's see, another comment was delicious as always.
1 teaspoon of salt. No, that's wrong.
Why
But-
is that wrong?
It's not enough.
To do the emulsion.
Well, I mean, it probably
You'd be
could.
able to pull a tiny bit out, do the emulsion, and then mix it back in.
Where'd my salt go? And the measuring spoons. One. No, not enough. Okay.
3 times the amount.
Even that, I wonder if it's enough. We'll find out. We'll find out. Oops, should be cold water. Always prefer cold water?
Yeah, it doesn't melt the fat as much. Or,
Yes. Yep.
I even hear grinding cold is probably a good idea.
It is, yes. There are a lot of places that will grind with ice.
Okay.
They'll put ice in with the
Because you're
meat.
adding water anyway.
Yeah, they'll put ice in with the meat, and it'll keep the.
While you're doing the grinding.
There are different species have different fat melting temperatures, and different locations on the animal carcass will also melt at different temperatures. So typically back fat is the most robust, whereas cheek fat in particular, but also belly fat, are the fastest to melt.
Okay.
Beef is interesting because it actually has 2 melting phases.
Yeah. That's why you don't generally have beef tallow through a lot of sausages, because it's kind of weird.
Exactly. It's weird.
I wonder if that's why they use the back fat for the long,
Probably.
because it's just literally salt cured fat.
We can go ahead and prep our other spices. So, 3/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. I'm looking for thyme. Where's my thyme? Thyme. 1/2 teaspoon thyme.
You're looking for?
Caraway. Let's see, 1/2 teaspoon of caraway. And that's it. Marjoram is a spice that we could use but do not have to.
Okay. Are we adding any frog powder?
Does not call for that, but
Just to see, like, what 1/4 teaspoon maybe?
see we probably should.
Just an 1/8 of a teaspoon?
Curing in the Middle Ages was done entirely through smoking.
Yeah, well, I read that some of there was some really interesting studies on some of the salts that they used already had
Or nitrate bearing.
Nitrate bearing.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
so because they weren't the highly processed, like highly pure salt that we have.
Don't want to forget, I put the ice packs in there since it looks like we might have some meat going all of us.
Good idea. Good idea.
Good ideas, right?
I find this part of the process the most nerve-wracking.
Sure. Like,
Nerve-wracking.
did I add too much water?
Exactly. And I never do,
Yeah.
unless I'm, doing it deliberately to make a point.
Close to 1-to-1 amounts.
Then you're never going to be a problem, but it's always like, ah. But no, it's a chemical process that has to happen, and it has to happen over time.
So that was all
And
of our
it's-
pork.
That's right. And beef
And
too.
some beef.
Yeah.
Are
So
we going to add other things to it, or is it just going to be this?
depends. If and the reason it depends is because we're going to be seasoning basically to taste.
Okay.
And
So if we want more meat flavor, we can use
Yep.
this and then, okay. How small is that thing?
yeah.
Because this is probably our last one, right?
It's been really neat seeing buffalo become a common
Thing that you can find.
a thing you can find. Yeah, because buffalo and venison are functionally interchangeable.
Okay. In terms
Not
of flavor profiles and stuff,
yeah.
and, like,
Venison is not quite as
really just
robust
together.
as buffalo. If it's leaner and gamier, but buffalo is different enough from beef that you can make any period recipe that calls for venison to work really well with buffalo.
I've got a friend who I can just be like, hey, can I get some venison?
There you go.
They go hunting. They go hunting enough that they have a deep freezer and a half full of that.
Yeah. There
I'm
was
like, okay.
there was-
and they're always trying to be like, hey, do you need any venison? And I'm like, no, I don't really right now.
there is a picture from Home Depot that went viral, but it was from out west, or out in the Midwest, and it was labeled 1 deer, 2 deer, 3 deer, 4 deer, freezers. And like whoever was prepping that display knew what was up. No, not yet. Woo!
No more than like 5 in general.
I'm very concerned that this is fatting out. I don't think there was sufficient salt. Because you can see the fat is collecting on the outside.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
I don't like that at
So
all.
we add more salt.
So we're going to add more salt and we're going to add more lean beef. Yeah,
What is that, 90-10? 80-20.
80-20, yeah.
We'll run another class and leave it up here at the beginning of this.
If you want to taste, did you get to taste the previous one?
No.
There's still some left over.
Oh my.
Bowl.
Pork beef, what, cinnamon,
Cinnamon, nutmeg, or mace,
Pepper.
technically. Pepper, ginger. And the breakfast sausage. It's a little overspiced. Yeah, it's real tasty.
And again, as a lot of the cooking types will point out, that yes, it's overspiced to our palate, but our palate is not the medieval palate. And we do have to make some allowances for that. Now, that doesn't mean that something that tastes bad to us taste good to them. That's usually the sign of an error. But there is truth.
Strong.
Yeah, there is some truth that, you know, palates change, and the best example I have of that is the American preference for salt over the past 30 years. There was a concerted push by the health department to reduce the American intake of salt because of not that it causes heart issues, but for people who have heart issues, it will cause hypertension. Yeah, it will not cause hypertension on its own, but if you already have a predisposition, it can get you. Okay, so I'm gonna.
Okay, so you were just using hamburger?
Yeah, this was hamburger. Our mix previously, I looked at the recipe and said there was an insufficient amount of salt, and I didn't know that it was going to actually make the bind, and I think I was proven right. And the reason I say that is because you can see that behind the meat there is fat clinging to the walls, right. And if the bind is what makes sausage itself. We are extracting protein by dissolving the proteins with salt, because meat protein is salt soluble. Like lots of things are water soluble. Some proteins are water soluble. The protein that causes the color in meat can be washed out. So if you take a steak and you run it under water, it will become pale. It's not actually the blood. It is the protein in it that caused the color development. And
Would you like to try by the sausage from before?
so I'm gonna
Oh, wow.
pull that aside.
No, I like it. Yeah. I think the balance is pretty decent.
I'm just gonna hold this up and try and beat. Maybe.
Raise that out of the way. There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
That'll
Okay.
work.
Just to try and get a bind going.
Started.
So what will happen is that people won't know that this creating the bind is a thing. And so they'll put a sausage together using all the right recipes, but not the right procedure. And what they'll wind up with is flavored hamburger. You've probably had that at Feast. And so thinking that, you know, like they've had sausage before, they know it's supposed to stick together. So people will, and this is not just modern SCA people, this happens in period recipes too, they'll say, let's add an egg. Let's add an egg to it. We can hold it together the way we would put mayonnaise together. And that'll work. That'll work. But you can do it with just the meat itself.
Okay.
And this ought to be enough to... And water, yeah. Water is a very underreported ingredient.
You're getting over here.
I know. Okay, there we go. Every sausage recipe requires water because that is how you distribute the spices throughout the product. But it's never in a recipe, ever. It's just assumed that you know it. And there are some...
1-to-1 in country. Really? Close-ish. I mean, you were saying 40%?
40%, yeah.
Really close, yeah.
Like I tend to overwater my sausages because I like them to be juicy, But what often happens is that I wind up with, you poke the sausage casing and water squeezes out. So, like, okay, I did that to excess, but it does demonstrate how much water that the bind can hold. Oh, look at this.
Yeah, that's much better.
That's much better.
Pulled the rest of it back together.
Yep. So we could have done the same thing if we cracked an egg and put the egg white in.
Oh, it's breaking apart. Let's add.
Is that an egg? The best meat to make a bind is going to be your leanest, reddest meat. And there's a meat science reason for that, and I've totally forgotten what it was because I was more a non-meat ingredients guy than a meat chemistry guy. But there is a reason. My grandfather, when he sent my father to sausage school, and Dad came back with this, it's called an X chart of protein interlinking, and I don't remember what the other side of the X was. My grandfather took one look at that and was like, that's why bull meat works. Because he knew if your sausage was beginning to short out like ours had done, then you get some bull meat, which is your leanest, most interconnected, reddest meat, and you make a bind out of that. You drop it into your shorted out sausage, and you can pull it back together. And the X chart proved what it was, but I forgot what the X chart was because it's been a while.
That's why, like deer meat, and it makes a good sausage.
Absolutely.
Really lean.
Yes, absolutely.
Without moving a lot, so the muscle tissues are really connected. Got it.
And as a modern, if you can't get venison, buffalo is commonly in the grocery store now, and you can get that, and it's functionally the same as venison in a recipe. Now, it does taste more beefy than venison does. Venison it's hard to describe. I guess it's probably closer to mutton than anything else. It's not like...
I've been eating venison summer sausage for so many years that last year I bought one of the off-the-shelf things, which is the beef.
Will you pull that out of the mixer? And it was something weird that I'd never seen before, but that was, we made that for the lab, because that was what was available way back in the 80s.
For like home purpose, for home use cases, is the one that comes with this like sufficient for making good sausage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good.
That's good.
I like this because you can make more.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a feast, off of the horn of that, it's gonna suck because the horn is only so big. It has this is the stuffing horn, and there's only so much you can get on that. It's going to be a pain.
Yeah.
Whereas I think this is,
Full length.
you could make. I don't actually know what this holds. It's a lot.
Looks like 2 gallons.
Yeah.
I just got one of these gifts.
Nice. Yeah, it's a nice gift.
It was a nice gift.
Would you put the water back on?
Pull the casing out.
Yeah, probably ought to.
Certainly know how to make a mess.
Oh, this is not a clean hobby.
At all.
It's baking.
You use natural casing?
I used to. Now I use collagen because it's easier to come by. And
You don't have to get wet.
yeah.
I mean,
this take? Well, that'll do it. That'll be enough.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah, not a whole lot, but enough. You can get collagen casing at Sportsman's Warehouse. I think Cabela's has it. I didn't check where else. I just found it close to me. This is the high gear. Fine.
Oh, is that causing a medication? Or some bad?
Kind of, yeah. And now the low gear, opposite direction. I think we still have some space. There we go.
This is the part that everyone gets weird about. It's just me, y'all.
In a tube.
Well, as I understand it, it's a little bit of an art, just feeling that you don't overstep it so that you can twist it.
Yeah, not as much as you'd think, but yes, yes. That the end? Okay.
Hey, that's the name of it. Pretty good. Oh, never mind.
It's like he's been doing it.
Well, he has. His grandfather started a sausage business in Cincinnati. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Stop.
he's stuff all over Ohio.
Okay.
Now, do we prick it beforehand, or?
We probably ought to, but we're not gonna.
And what are the spices in this one?
Did we add the spices?
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
No.
Oh my God, we didn't?
The bowl of spices.
No! So this is literally just
Just
pork and beef.
Can you untwist
I mean,
it?
we could
It's
just-
all back in
Is
the
there-
bowl?
Yes, we can.
Is there salt?
There's salt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
we-
what makes it emotional.
we can. We absolutely can. That's what we're gonna do.
And remix it. There you go.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe we did
That,
that.
looks to be about the right amount.
Oh! Okay.
Glad I said
Yeah.
something.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We would have been very confused.
Like, where's all of the?
Flavor.
Yeah. Real bland.
It's all one bite.
You're real juicy.
Yeah, sure.
That's about it.
Gosh.
You could probably.
Yeah. Well, come on, get off of there. We'll run all this out.
Is it fennel?
I believe there was
Oh,
thyme.
caraway.
What else was in that?
Yeah.
Time and
Caraway, pepper, some curing salt.
no.
Oh, pink
Can you hold that in?
powder powder.
The base. So I just haven't. Because I can spin it faster.
And now. Good save. Good save. And folding not take that long. The best way to with water, but I think we have enough water at this point, but I'm not going to.
Unless the head is actually on screen.
Yeah, you can talk about salt earlier.
Uh-huh.
And I had a high blood pressure for several years.
Yes.
Although never to a problem apparently that my doctors had ever said, well, you should be on a low salt diet.
Mm-hmm.
Last year I had major heart problems.
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards they said, and we want you on a low salt diet.
Yep.
So now after a year of eating and watching my salt, I still eat things with salt, but I just make sure I watch the amount,
Yeah.
Well,
under what they recommend.
you know, if you make your own sausage, you can moderate your salt quite a bit, because while you still need salt to make the bind, you do not need the whole sausage to be a bind. You can take some portion of very lean meat, the leanest portion, and add salt. The ideal ratio making the bind is 10% by weight. So however much salt you're going to have in the whole thing, you can take all of it and 10 times more by weight of meat and essentially make meat glue. Meat glue, and then fold in all of the rest of your meat and all of your spices and some water, and you will be able to sharply control how much salt is actually in your food. That was the health department started pushing that, and it used to be people would make the whole sausage batch as a bind,
Requires a lot of salt.
which requires a lot of salt, but then the American diet had a lot of salt in it, just even 25 years ago.
Oh yeah.
There was so much that we don't notice how much it changed, but it did. It really did. And
They like processed food because they use so much. It's not just salt that leads to potassium.
yes,
A major problem with high blood pressure. So that it's a preservative because they want it shelf stable for so long.
yep. There's good reasons to have salt in the food, but you don't have to. So, I'll wash my hands.
Sure. There was like some study that went on for a little bit about countries with blander diets, and how it takes like a couple of months to adapt to it.
Yes.
And then when you come back to like
Everything
America,
tastes crazy.
everything is so salty.
Yeah.
Oh, I washed out the horn, didn't I? Yeah, I did.
Salt, unfortunately.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with it. It tastes really good, and it's less harmful to you than spice over the long term.
Like heat, capsaicin.
Oh, I see.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to die from cancer.
If you're, say, Thai, in a Thai or Laotian family, you serve the food in different stages. The basically unseasoned stuff you give to the kids, and then you start seasoning.
Ramp it up.
You start seasoning, you give it to the adults, the parents, and then you season more and you give it to the grandparents, because by the time that they are grandparents, they've blown out their taste buds, and what you give to the kids, they can't taste. And if you give grandparents stuff to the kids, it's going to knock their socks off.
We're getting an arm workout today.
Just sitting here with our sausage, screwing around and around.
But yeah, for home batches, that still should work fine.
That should work fine.
Like, for
Yeah.
anything, like, especially these amounts.
Ooh, yeah, go for it. That looks like a seasoned sausage. Doesn't that look... I won't say it looks better, but it definitely has a more sausagey color.
Yeah.
Yeah, less pink.
We're making sausage here. I am. Taste test that.
All there is?
Yep.
All there is, there is
About the same amount.
Wonder why. We had an oopsie. We stuffed all this out and then realized that we didn't put any of the...
The bowl of spices was still on the counter.
We didn't put any of the spices in it. It was just meat.
Or take it as a breakfast sausage, like nutmeg, cinnamon, pepper.
Is there a secret to twisting?
Nope.
Obviously, the opposite directions.
Opposite directions. I like you can just do one at a time, but I like to separate and do the middle.
Okay.
Um,
Tie the ends together to try and keep them from falling.
Stew.
I guess it's
You know what? Fine.
Your other one did it, yeah. This sausage seems to be a problem all the way around.
It's giving trouble.
Hopefully it tastes good at the end.
That's great. Well, it tastes better.
And watch him immediately.
Immediately. Just gave up. Unrolled immediately. Great sausage.
Well, it should still taste
Oh, well.
the same, right? Even if it doesn't come out pretty.
Oh, it does. Absolutely. It's just
The other one also did that.
that's true. It did.
Is that a thing with the collagen casing, or is that just
Yes, collagen casing does not like to twist as much as natural casing does. And that's because collagen is, like, the material is exactly the same. In fact, it comes from the same material. This is just processed, whereas natural casing... I don't know. I actually don't know.
Because we wet the sheep one. I'm wondering if wetting it would help make it sticky.
Well, with natural casings, you always wet it because it's packed in salt,
Yeah.
and you've got to get that off. But it does help with keeping it smooth and letting the product slide inside it. And so I don't know. Maybe we don't at work,
Sure.
but that doesn't mean that we can't.
Yeah.
Especially if you portioned off a sufficient amount that you could just, so you weren't killing the whole casing all at once.
Sure. Just try a small batch, see how it works.
Like, not that it would be particularly onerous to kill that amount of sausage casing, because that was like $10 at Sportsman's Warehouse, which is where I got that. So it wasn't a lot. Natural casing, if you can get it, if you can find a spot for it, is even less expensive. So it's the issue is coming up with it in the first place. It's an inexpensive ingredient, I suppose. Inexpensive component. It's not really an ingredient.
It's just about sourcing.
Yeah, like you can spend months looking for it and spend $5 once you find it.
So how long does it cook on the stove?
10, 15 minutes.
It's more of a vibe.
It kind of is. It seems silly, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
I just didn't know, like with baking, you put like a toothpick in to taste or to see if it's, if any dough comes up with the toothpick. If it's
Well, what will probably happen is the sausage will float because I've put a honestly excessive amount of water in it, and then it'll spit at me, and we will all laugh the way we did last time.
So what were the spices for this one?
We had some
Caraway,
caraway, thyme, black pepper.
Another period sausage.
Yes, this is a Mortadella from Italy, a recipe book in the 16th century.
Sausage maker generally, I've heard, has natural casings.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Sausagemaker.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're for a 43 millimeter, 32 foot one, it's $22.
That is an amount of something.
Yeah. And they have varying sizes.
So the millimeter is the diameter of the sausage. I'm using 32.
Okay, so these are bigger.
And
43 and 60,
43 is a nice fat dinner sausage.
like a brat.
Yeah, it would be a big fat brat. And if you see like a
60 would be
19 or 21 millimeter, that's more of a snack stick kind of thing.
something like that.
sausage.
Is this where, vinegar is in it, okay. Do we know where, Grace Lucasson is giving class? Where, Duchess Lucasson is giving her class? Butchering like technology?
In red room, prep.
Okay.
Oh, it's all the way downstairs, okay.
Yep. Or
Not all the way.
right one down. Yes, I'm also going to what class? Butchering
technology.
knife technology.
By, Duchess.
I kind of want to take that class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Interesting.
I think I'm going to be cleaning up, but I want to take that class.
I'm going to count 15 minutes. So
Is that fast? The foam clock?
I got
the what?
Oh, okay. So that clock is
Yeah, it's 43. 15 minutes.
Honestly, if you would just gather up all the spices, that would be very helpful. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Sure.
It's early for vinegar, yes. It is cooking now, and we have examples of what we have already made. The sausage that we just made is cooking now, and we have examples of what we've already made.
We also have this.
Yes, that's right.
Cook it out because I'm like, it feels about time.
No, that is the
Sausage, but cooked.
as a loaf instead of a.
Oh, okay. That is better.
Is it?
Yeah. It's evened out more. Yeah, it ramps up.
Very cool.
White pepper.
Oh, yeah. White pepper.
White pepper.
Of your mouth. Black pepper hits the tip of your tongue. It's the first thing you taste, and is one of the reasons that we put black pepper on as much as we do, because you get a very good initial kick. White pepper fills your mouth. It hits your whole tongue and the roof of your mouth. And red pepper, if you use that as an ingredient, and I used paprika. So that's like just a very low capsicum, but it still has the properties of red pepper because it's the same thing. And that hits the back of your throat, back of your throat, and then it gives you the sensation of a fuller taste. So used in moderation, it can be a really great sleeper ingredient.
This is the same.
Yes.
Wow, then there's a
It's crazy different.
different.
You'll have to ask him, with sausage making, his grandfather started a business, and we're down in Cincinnati.
Really?
Hey.
Ah,
So you've heard of Glier's Meats, we're the official brought and met of the Cincinnati Bengals, the Reds.
Oh my goodness.
That is where they
cool.
do.
Tasting failure?
huh? No. It definitely squirted at me.
That cold water.
Yes.
All right.
In that configuration, it's cool.
Well, it's wet, right? And it's liquid.
Oops.
But as far as like what, I know he, for like this, he talks about
It's great.
Yes. We did not add cure to this.
Oh, there was no cure sauce.
Not this one. This one has a little cure.
Oh, actually, we
added
did.
like
That's
an eighth
right.
of a teaspoon or something.
But we
Which
didn't.
doesn't take much.
It cure takes it takes about 2 hours to several days. Yes.
What's the difference between scrapple and geta? Is it the oats?
The filler grain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, I interrupted.
What is it in Scrapple?
Cornmeal.
Oh, that's not my basket. What is in my basket?
Oh,
That one's pretty good.
this is good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I like this.
Very
this is better.
It's a little toasty.
Savory one?
Yes, this is the cooler side. Oswin, you got to try this.
Yeah.
This side is cooler. Yeah,
The water really makes
that's pretty good.
Yeah. I like that. That smells nice.
Very small amount, but
actually, yeah.
oh yeah, no, you're right. It's caraway. Caraway.
That's what. Thank you for the correction. That's what I got. Yeah.
So I'm happy with that one.
Yeah.
The other one is a little strong, but this one's perfect. I think just about right.
Okay, I just put this over.
No, I didn't. I just decided that we were going to sit down, talk about the sausage science, and make sausage, and I think that went pretty well. So
How do you spell something?
Wish I had been here for it's informative for me.
GLIER.
there's my wife bragging about me.
So in our at Flaming Griffin's 12th night,
Huh?
I'm doing a bacon class,
Nice.
and I think I'm gonna try and do very similar. We're not gonna. I don't think make the bacon, but we're gonna taste the bacon.
Oh, bacon.
Bacon or
It
pancetta.
takes a while to cure bacon.
Yeah.
Yes, it
But
does.
you can do it in about a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when I talk through
Get out.
a couple of the varieties,
Out, damn spot.
but not go too far into the history.
Does your company do like bacon and stuff?
We don't, not anymore. We used to, but we're so focused on our primary product called Geta that we've given up a lot of the specialty stuff that we did, which was the cool stuff to me. To me, but you know what? The market gets a vote on what's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh,
What I just had a fight of, I would order that and have it shipped.
I know, isn't it good?
Yeah.
So this was from a recipe book in the 16th century from Italy. I think it was Mistress Ava Green who translated this recipe. So I'm not the guy who digs into the recipe books and does that. I just make the stuff.
Make it, do it.
Do you have your phone? Do you have your phone?
Yeah.
I have a.
It's also
There's one by one with the breakfast sausage you did before. That one has cinnamon.
Mustard. Do you want to use a little on the sausage? You know that?
That's a great idea. Oh, that would be.
I want that back.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Mustard?
Yes?
Vegan or.
Oh, yeah.
This one.
No, we're gonna try some of Oswald's mustard.
That is Wilhelm's mustard.
Okay, Wilhelm's mustard, but you supplied it with sausage.
I don't like to take credit for things I didn't do, even if they're good.
So there's already a broken off piece right there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. It's a great sausage. A little bit of mustard flavor?
it's very, very hot. And I have dainty little fingers. Ow.
We can use the mustard to cool it.
That is really good mustard too.
Nice and strong.
Whew.
Good seeing you.
Wow. But I wondered why.
Yeah.
I came in at the perfect time.
I learned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
There's,
that's really good.
I think that's going to be my Black Friday purchase is a KitchenAid stand mixer.
That's a.
You should. You should. That's a.
It's so useful.
You know,
So
and it
many
lasts forever, even if you only pull it out every couple of years.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
Also, they have like a lifetime warranty on them or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Okay.
That's